Hey everyone, it's Lacey, and I'm so excited to do this video. I've been waiting to talk to you guys about this. So I was lucky enough to see Visions Volume 2 early. Thank you to Lucasfilm and Disney for letting me do that. But I've had to sit on it for a couple weeks and kind of wait to discuss it. It comes out tomorrow, May 4th on Disney+, and guys, it is awesome. It is everything that I'd hoped for with my kind of anticipation from Volume 1, which I also really loved. So for those of you that don't know, Visions Volume 2 is an anthology series featuring different creators in across the world, animation studios that get to give kind of their voice and their view to Star Wars. Now, it's not canon, which is the big C word in Star Wars. It's not canon. However, I think that really gives them the room to express themselves and tell interesting stories that aren't confined to the rules, so to speak, of Star Wars. So Volume 2 features stories from Chile, France, Japan, India, Ireland, Spain, South Africa, South Korea, the UK, and the US. All these different stories all have their own look, their own feel, their own music, characters. It's honestly really, really awesome. As you go through the anthology, this volume, every single one is different, but it's different in the best way. Because I felt like every single episode, I didn't know what to anticipate, which is nice, going into something that you don't know what to think. It just kind of sets your expectations at a certain level that you kind of go in with a clean slate. And I feel like with Visions, I've always kind of done that, which is this is going to be outside of anything I've ever seen or known with Star Wars. So it allows me to really explore these worlds and see everything through the eyes of the creators, which is just a wonderful experience. So there are ones that I liked more than others, just like everybody else. And that's one of the best things about Visions is that I feel like there's something for everyone in these stories. It really lets people kind of pick and choose their favorites. And you kind of learn something about people when you see which ones they really like. Because we all have different viewpoints and values and things that we connect with within Star Wars. And this is no different. So I'm going to dig into a couple of the episodes now. I'm not going to do like a full breakdown of everything because I want to give you guys the time to watch it. But do be warned that this is definitely a spoiler review. I'm going to get into some details of the different episodes. So first off, episode 1 is called Sith. It's by El Guri Studios. It's kind of got like this 3D animation feel. So it tells the story of a woman who's kind of like working on her ship and working with colors and like trying to find her space within the dark and the light. And then soon you learn that she had a darker past, that she's now turned to the light and she's trying to stay on that good side. But she does get hunted down by some crazy Sith Jedi. Well, not Jedi, but Sith. That being said, she has this like adorable droid that she works with. But it definitely kicks off the Vision series in a great way. You're just kind of like blown away by the colors and the beauty of the animation on top of the amazing voice acting, which is done by Ursula Cordero. And it's just a very interesting story of, which I love, which we see a couple times in Star Wars, which is it's never too late to make the right choice and that your past doesn't define you. I really loved that. And I felt like that kind of connected with a lot of the characters we see now, like Rey, and not in the same, obviously, the same way that this character, because she was like full Sith. But it also did, like, I drew parallels kind of with Ronan too in Volume 1, where you have a character that was a Sith that was doing bad things and now is kind of living a different life, which is okay. And I think it's just part of Star Wars is like these people just kind of do what they can to survive in the galaxy. And if that means kind of being on the bad side, but then changing their mind and going to the good side, that's okay too. But it's just really stunning. It's a stunning episode. And it does have, like I said, this like kind of 3D animation feel, but it's like kind of got like this watercolor look too. But I really enjoyed it. And I think one of my favorite shots in the whole volume 2 is in the Sith where, or is in Sith. Sorry, I keep saying the Sith. Is where the bad guy is coming to hunt her in her ship, and he's just dragging his lightsaber across the ground and it's sparking. And it's like this beautiful kind of like Dutch angle-ish shot. It's so cool with like perspective where he's going down the hallway. It is so cool. And I remember when I first watched it, because I've watched this a couple times. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh my God, that shot is awesome. But yeah, so then we get into episode 2, which is Cartoon Saloon Screecher's Reach. This one was really beautiful with its animation. It kind of like what I just said with the first episode, it definitely has more of a watercolor feel. It's 2D. It looks hand-drawn. I was not a fan of this one, only because I think it's more on the darker side. And you guys know that I'm not a fan of kind of the darker tones, the darker storylines, the ones that kind of feel more tragic. But some people love this one, from what I've seen online, and I love that for them. To me, it's just like, I have something where it's like when I feel the anxiety after I leave something, no me gusta. So this is definitely one of those ones that's, it's gonna sit with you, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, wasn't one of my favorites, but it's very cool. And I think the concept is super interesting. Episode 3 was Punk Robot Studio in the Stars. It has like a clay animation look to it. This one was really cool. You have kind of 2 sister characters that are battling the Empire who have taken over their planet. Once again, it shows that the Empire is just like, they're the worst. They're just absolutely terrible. And they have destroyed so many worlds and planets. And I think that we see that across Star Wars media in general and content, that they're constantly reiterating like, no, the Empire is like really bad and they do terrible things. So it's okay to just not like them because they're very bad. But I really liked the dynamic between the 2 sisters in this story. I have 2 sisters myself, and it kind of reminded me very much of me and my older sister, because we just have we had a certain dynamic growing up, and it reminds me of this, where she was just kind of just like, stop all the time. And I was just kind of doing my own thing and like thought I was always right. So it definitely reminded me of that. And I appreciated the hopeful story theme of no one's ever really gone. You know, people are always connecting with you, whether they're here or they're not. And you can carry them with you. And I really appreciated that. And again, the animation was great. Episode 4 was one of my favorites. It was Aardman Studios, which does Wallace and Gromit, and it's called I Am Your Mother. I loved this one. It's definitely got that claymation look, which is right up my alley. I love that. I thought it was super fun and interesting and kind of campy a little bit, and I liked that. It was bright colors, and it reminded me very much of when I was little and like why I got into Star Wars, because it was just like this crazy world with all these characters and creatures and stuff. I thought it was really funny. I laughed out loud. And the end just had a moment where like I almost cried, where the characters connect again. It's about a girl who's in flight school, and she's kind of embarrassed by her mother, which is understandable. We've all been there. I'm sure I'm going to embarrass my daughter at some point, if not already. So there's a moment at the end where they connect, and she's just like, I'm sorry I called you embarrassing. And the mother goes, that's going to happen. I'm your mother. Like, I'm going to be embarrassing. And it was such a touching moment. And it reminded me once again that Star Wars is about family. And I really loved this. I can't believe, Wedge was in it. They had Wedge in this, which is interesting because, again, this isn't canon. But I just thought this was a really fun one. I think families are going to enjoy this. And I really hope they make figures out of the people in this one, because it was really, really cool. Episode 5 is Studio Mir. Journey to the Dark Dark Head. I can't read my own handwriting, sorry. Journey to the Dark Head. It has more of an anime feel. This one was really cool. If you liked kind of Ninth Jedi in Volume 1, you're probably going to like this one as well. I just really liked the fight scenes in this one. I think this is one of the strongest with the fight scenes with lightsabers, which is super important. That being said, I thought it was great. It was cool. I think I really liked the music in this one. It had some of the best music. But it definitely had more of that anime feel. Like volume 1 was very heavy in that side of the animation. This one was a highlight in that. Episode 6 is The Spy Dancer. This one surprised me because I was caught off guard. At first, I didn't think I was going to like it going into it, but then I ended up really liking it. It is probably more of that kind of tragic, dark story, but there's a glimmer of hope at the end with the mother and the son. That was quite a twist. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But once again, showing how terrible the Empire is. But I really liked it, and the animation style was really cool. Episode 7 was 88 Pictures. The Bandits of Gollock, which is more like a 3D animation style. This one was cool. It's kind of that brother-sister dynamic that we've seen in Star Wars, or sibling dynamic, where they're kind of trying to get away from the evil in the universe, and they go to this place looking for kind of refuge, and then they discover they're in the presence of a Jedi. And then there is this kind of tragic childhood letting go and moving on, which I think is a really beautiful thing, because we all reach that point sometime in our life where we just kind of have to move on. But it's okay to let go. Episode 8 was Lucasfilm with Dart Shahito. I'm sorry if I slaughtered that name. The Pit. This one was pretty dark for me. It was dark, but I feel like at the same time optimistic, because something terrible had to happen to then make it apparent to people that something bad was going on. I think it's a good example of, like, we tend to in a society kind of turn our eye to bad things that are happening because we don't think it affects us, but ultimately it affects all of us. And I really like that storyline. But yeah, it was really cool. And then last but not least is episode 9, which is done by Triggerfish, which is Au's song, which is, I think Aardman and Triggerfish are my two favorites, which is episode 4, episode 9. Au's song was adorable. It was very childlike wonder, kind of that rebellious little kid that we all have been at some point. The animation style was very interesting. It kind of looked like knit-like it was very soft, and you just wanted to kind of touch it. It was very cute, and it kind of did a good job of expressing the world and the characters around this little girl, and how she sees it, and kind of like represents her. And I thought it was so well done, because that kind of soft material and that look, it looks like someone's playing with their stuffed animals, and it's just kind of, it's really cute. But other than that, I really enjoyed that. It was once again like a little kid kind of getting into trouble, but had to learn the hard way, the risks of using the Force, and kind of how little kids are kind of naive to what's bad in the world, because they haven't experienced that yet. So there was a little moments in this episode where I was kind of just like, if anything happens to her, I'm gonna be so upset. But again, letting go, it was a big theme in this one, and just kind of taking that step out of childhood into adulthood, which is always an interesting but kind of heartbreaking theme. But at the same time, like, you always have to let go. You always have to like move on with your life. But I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really fun, and there's like a lot of really cool creatures and settings in this episode. But overall, it just left me kind of feeling like really hopeful and optimistic, which I love in Star Wars. So that was why it was one of my favorites. So that's my really quick run through. We're going to get into this on the Resistance broadcast, but before we go, I love Visions. I really do. I think it's done a really good job of telling unique, creative stories through the lens of Star Wars. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy, and I hope they never stop making them. I will take as many as they want to give me. And I think it really, for me, this season, more than season 1, really explored different cultures and viewpoints, which I truly appreciate. I feel oftentimes Star Wars has a certain look and feel, which is totally understandable, but it's okay to then take that and kind of twist it a little bit and give it a little bit more flavor and creativity from other sides of the world. Because I think something that makes us awesome as humans is that we all have different viewpoints, opinions, and backgrounds and experiences. And that's what makes the fandom so great as well, Star Wars fandom. And I think Visions kind of takes that and celebrates it and says, hey, we're not all the same. And that's okay. And the stories really highlight that. And while I was going through this volume, and I'm sure you're going to feel this as well, is every episode you felt like you were traveling to a different country. Like you could feel the influences of those cultures. And it was just such a joy to watch. And I loved every minute of it. And I can't wait to go watch it again. So this comes out tomorrow, May 4th, Star Wars Day. May the Force be with you. Or may the 4th be with you. But I'm really interested to see what you guys think about these episodes. Which ones were your favorites? If you came back after you watched it, that's cool too. Let me know in the comments. Let's start a dialogue. Let's chat about this, because I've been waiting to talk about these for weeks. But like I just said earlier, we are going to talk about this on the Resistance broadcast on whether you're watching this on the 3rd or the 4th, May 4th evening, 8:30 p.m. here on the YouTube channel. We're going to talk about it live. We're going to then put the audio version on our audio feeds Friday morning, but we're really excited to dig into this. I know John and James loved it as well. So until next time, I hope you guys enjoy watching Visions, and we'll talk soon, and may the 4th be with you. Wait, now I said it the wrong way. May the Force be with you.